Here's a quick question that nobody ever seems to ask. What's the difference between leaders who last and leaders who flame out? Because it's not gifting, it's usually not opportunity, and most all of the time, it's not even theology. It's what they do when nobody's watching. Sustainable leadership isn't about working less, it's about soul maintenance when the spotlight is off. We're going to talk about that today here on the Healthy Church Staff Podcast. Thanks for joining me. My name's Todd Rhoades. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Matt Steen, over at chemistrystaffing.com. Today we're talking about burnout, and this is a topic that we come back to, it seems like time after time here on the podcast. So I want to take a little bit of a different take on it today. I want to have 4 things I'd like to share with you today. But the reason that we talk about burnout so often is because ministry tends to burn people out if we are not careful. If we are not healthy, you may be staring right smack dab at a bad case of burnout. Matter of fact, many of you may have already experienced it or may be on the path to burnout right now. So let's talk about that. All right. First of all, first point I'd like to make, 4 things I'd like to share with you. Number 1, burnout isn't about working too hard. A lot of people think that burnout's just you're working too hard. You're constantly go all the time. Burnout isn't necessarily about working too hard. It's about working when you're empty. About 42% of pastors have considered just totally quitting pastoring, getting out of the ministry in the past year. And that's not because the work is too much. It really isn't. It's because the well has run dry. And you can't give what you don't have. And most ministry leaders are running on fumes. Spiritually, they're running on fumes. Emotionally, they're running on fumes relationally. So point number 1 is the schedule isn't always the problem. It always comes down to the soul. Point number 2, rest is a weapon. It's not a weakness. You need to rest. We've turned busyness into some kind of pastoral ministry badge of honor. But you know what? God invented Sabbath. Jesus took naps. So if you don't schedule rest, it's your own fault. And if you don't schedule rest, you'll schedule a breakdown. You might as well just put it on your calendar now. The best leaders I know have ruthless boundaries. They guard their mornings. They protect their families. They say no more than they say yes, and they don't apologize for it. My third point today is your private world will determine your public impact. Your private world will determine your public impact. What you do in secret will shape what you build in public. If your prayer life is a sermon prep exercise, man, you're in trouble. If your marriage is on autopilot or on the rocks, man, you're drifting. If your emotional health or your mental health depends on your last sermon's response, you're fragile. And the collapse always starts inside before it shows up outside. So remember that. Your private world will determine, over time, your public impact. And then lastly, number 4, build a life that doesn't need a platform to be meaningful. Build a life that doesn't need a platform. If you are actively trying to build a platform for yourself, it will not end well for you. What would your life look like without ministry? Would you still have friendships? Would you still have any hobbies? Would you still have any joy? If your identity is completely wrapped up in your calling and your job at the church, hear me, you're one crisis away from collapse. And the healthiest leaders I know have really healthy lives outside of the church, and that's what makes them effective inside the church. So here's your bottom line. The one thing you can take away from today, if you forget about everything else, you can't pour from an empty cup. Soul care isn't selfish. It's survival. If you're a pastor or a church leader who wants to lead for the long haul, I wrote a book called When the Church Falls. It's all about building that kind of character and culture that doesn't blow up, even under pressure. You can grab it either at my website, todd.church, or you can go over to another website. It's called whenthechurchfalls.com. And if you need somebody to talk through any of this, I'm here. You can reach out to me anytime, just to reach out through the podcast email address, podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. Take care of your soul It's the best thing that you can do for your church. That's it for today's Healthy Church Staff podcast. I hope you'll be back and join me again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the strength of the second chair. And if you're in second chair leadership, which means you're not the senior pastor at your church, this one's for you. And if you are the senior pastor, come back because you're going to want to hear what I have to say, hopefully, about the second chair leadership. Have a great day.